So today here to unbox, I have a very promising looking tablet here from Teclast. This is the X5 Pro. Now it has the latest Kaby Lake Core M3 in there, which is the 7Y30 model. It's got 8GB of RAM, wireless AC, Type-C port on there, full-size USB 3 port, and as you see in just a second, the design is very similar to that of the Microsoft Surface Pro 4, as it has a type cover and also a adjustable kickstand there. So this one I picked up from AliExpress, and I've already opened the box just to check what was in there because I'm receiving and waiting for so many things at the moment. I didn't want to get myself confused. So there is the keyboard type cover. I'll open that in a second. Let's get the tablet out of here. So I'll have a look at the keyboard first. You can see there on the back just a couple of things there. Nothing really important. It's just pointing out that it's got a trackpad and it acts as a cover for the tablet as well. And it's all in Chinese. Don't understand any of it. Oh, there we go. That looks very similar to the Microsoft equivalent. So the keys on there, you can see they're spaced out individually. And they have a good feel to it. It's quite a rigid keyboard. I see we have shortcuts along here for the brightness controls there, for audio, for your media controls. And that touchpad has a plastic surface to it. And it doesn't feel like glass to me. Now this here is made out of, I would call that like a synthetic, more like a synthetic leather, not really. 5 pogo pin port there, a magnet along the top here to dock in. So I'll put that aside and we'll have a look at the tablet. So it feels quite heavy, quite bulky, but also feels solid. So on the front there's a 2 megapixel camera. We have a Windows home button there and actually speakers left and right here on the front-facing speakers, which is really good to see. Hopefully these are going to sound okay because normally, let's be honest here, on the Chinese devices they don't tend to sound that good. They tend to skip the speakers. So along the bottom we have the 5 pogo port pins there for the keyboard, of course, and here is the kickstand, and actually that's only 1 and 2 position there, which is interesting. I thought that would have been just allow us a variable angle, but it seems it's not the case. And along here is a micro SD card slot, and the hinge there looks to be made out of metal with plastic there, and along the top magnets to keep the lid in place there to stop that from flapping about. So we have a 5 megapixel camera right here at the top. This is plastic, obviously, for the antenna reception. And then the ports we have on the right side, you can see there, full-size USB 3 port. This is a Type-C port. Now, we'll check out to see whether this is actually Type-C USB 3.1. And that will allow us to charge, use data, and have display out all at the same time. So we'll check that out. An HDMI out port there. Now, there being an HDMI here makes me think that that will actually probably not be USB 3.1 and DC in charging. Now, there's a power button right here, 3.5mm headphone jack, micro USB 2 by the looks of it, and then our volume up and down button, which feels like it is made out of metal. Now, this design feels really solid, very solid indeed, a little heavy, but not too bad. So have a look and see what else we get in the box here. So obviously this looks to me like just like instruction manuals, warranty card and whatnot. That is all in Chinese, so not really relevant to me, don't understand Chinese. And here we have, of course, the power charger. So that's the DC in plug, rated to 12 volts, 2 amps there. So while the tablet is powering up, I'll just have a look and see how this docks in. And the angle we get, so that's the first position. And there we have the more reclined second position. So it won't actually go back any further than that, which is a shame. I wish it would go right back like we can do with the Surface Pro 4. Typing on the keyboard, there is some flex and bounce when in this upright position here, but of course when it's lying flat, then that doesn't happen really. But there still is a little bit because it seems to bulge up in the middle and doesn't lie 100% flat. It could just be my unit that's doing that, but overall the keyboard typing experience and the travel on the keys doesn't feel that bad. Touchpad accuracy seems alright. I've noticed that it doesn't support the swipe up or down gestures, but it does support things like the double tap, and 2 fingers to scroll is working as well. There are left and right hardware buttons incorporated into the touchpad. So I plugged in my Type-C 3.1 hub that I have here, and unfortunately no display out via Type-C, and also no charging, which is a real shame. That's a massive disappointment actually. The USB 3 port will at least power external hard drives, but no charging from that port means you have to use the DC in. Now other competitors like the CubeMix Plus, that's going to have USB 3.1 spec Type-C port, so you will be able to have charging, display out, and data all at the same time. So it's a real letdown that it doesn't have that. So it powered up reasonably quick, didn't take long at all. But I asked the seller not to install an English language pack on there. I wanted everything original, so it comes with Windows 10 Chinese online version, I think it is. So you can't actually install fully English on there, at least I haven't found a way yet. So at the moment, I've got the whole operating system in Chinese. I might just do a driver's backup and then restore that and do a complete fresh install of Windows 10. So I wanted to point out just a couple of things here. It definitely has wireless AC, and it's Intel Wireless AC 3165 is the chip that's in there. And also point out here, you can see there that it's got the Core M3 7Y30 and 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now the RAM speeds, I've just brought up the task manager here. It's running at 1600 megahertz. Now I do have a couple of Teclast branded styluses here. This one here is for the X3 Pro, and this one here is for the T-Book 16S and other models. Both of these styluses don't seem to work, and I'm not too sure if it actually supports one or which model I need. But if I do find that out, I will let you know and try and demonstrate the stylus and the full review at least. So having a closer look at the screen here, it's not fully laminated. There's a gap of approximately about 1 millimeter. It's not too bad. So far, brightness and the contrast and colors and everything seem to be good, and the sharpness of the screen looks fine to me. Now the resolution is 1920 by 1200, so that's a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, which I prefer over the 16 by 9 tablets. So the weight of it is 1.56 kilos, which is rather heavy. That's about 220 grams more than the Surface Pro 4 with the type cover. And the thickness is around 16 millimeters with the type cover on it, and without it about 10 millimeters. So as mentioned in the beginning, it does have 2 left and right front facing stereo speakers. Let's have a listen to how they sound. So as you can hear from that, they have a moderate amount of volume to them, but there is some distortion when they're running at 100%, some vibration caused, I think, from maybe the frame or something like that. So they're not the best sounding speakers I have ever heard. I'd rate them as actually quite average. So I installed Windows 10 in English. This is Windows 10 Pro. Now it wasn't hard to do. All I needed to do was just use another PC and make up the Windows 10 image there to install using the Microsoft Media Creation tool. All of the drivers, they downloaded automatically from Windows Update. Touch is working perfectly. No problems. Everything's there. There's no asterisks or anything. So that's really good to see that all the drivers can be gained just via Windows Update. Alright, so that's the first look there at the Teclast X5 Pro with its new Kaby Lake Core M3 7Y30 processor. That turbo's up to 2.6 gigahertz. Now I will be checking out the thermals of this device, bit of gaming, benchmarks, test out everything I can think of, including battery life, of course, which is going to be very important. But so far, the pros and cons that I have encountered, this is just first impressions, my first initial hour or two that I've had with it. That the typing experience on the keyboard is reasonably good. It's not that bad. Now, I wouldn't rate it as good as my Surface Pro for type cover. It's okay. The touchpad as well is all right. It seems to have reasonable amount of accuracy. Now, the build quality is good. It's very solid, well put together. Same goes for the keyboard. Good materials used there. The screen as well is sharp. No real complaints with it yet, but my major complaint would be the fact that the USB Type-C port is only USB 3.0 spec. So no charging and no display out at the same time from that port, which is, I think, very disappointing and could be a deal breaker for some people like myself that like to use that port with docking stations. So you can just connect it up straight away and you've got your display going and it's charging all at the same time. So that is disappointing to see. So if you want to see the full review of this, I'll hopefully have that out within a week or two. Keep an eye on the channel, and if you haven't already, why not think about subscribing? Thank you so much for watching this video.